This is a video on the T-Rex Billet Throttles. The original throttle idea came from constantly breaking stock throttles on our kids' motorcycles. And this is an existing throttle that comes stock, and one tip over and the casting just breaks. The real threat here is your throttle can stick wide open, and a lot of times this is covered with a rubber boot, so you don't even know it's broken, and it's really scary. So this is a partially disassembled throttle. The entire assembly is made out of billet aluminum. The housing is one-piece billet, which is milled to our specifications, and the one thing you'll notice is the craftsmanship is excellent. We've been testing these throttles for thousands of hours, and we've not had one single failure for the housing assembly. Inside the housing assembly is a sealed O-ring. The throttle tube itself is one piece with an end cap. So once this assembly is put together, there is no way for dirt to get inside of the tube. That eliminates a lot of opportunity for failure and throttle sticking. And the sealed end grips will last considerably longer than the hollow end. To connect the cable, make sure you have the correct threaded insert for your motorcycle. And each motorcycle has a specific threaded insert. You can just make sure your cable threads into it. It does. Thread it on. Take your cable, insert it into the throttle tube, and you can slide the threaded insert and the cable into the housing. Make sure the slot is pointing down. Tighten it with your Allen key. Take your pulley, slide the pulley in, take the inspection cover, tighten it. You don't want this too tight. You can break it. Just make it snug. That's it. When the throttle goes together, there's one thing you'll notice on the very bottom of the assembly. There's a throttle limiting screw here. And what that does is you can adjust the length of this screw up or down to limit the strain on your throttle cable. So you can actually adjust that. So when your throttle slide is wide open, your cable is going to be limited or will stop without you actually stressing the cable so that slide doesn't top out. The other thing this screw allows you to do is you can put a longer one in there and tighten it, and it'll come up inside and it will act as a throttle limiter. If you have kids just learning to ride, you don't want them to go so fast, you can limit how wide open they can open the throttle. So it's a pretty good safety feature. As far as the one-piece billet tube, it gives you a real linear design. So when you're giving it throttle, it's not going to be all or nothing. It really allows the kids and adults to have better throttle control. When it goes together, we've got special bushings that actually reduce friction as well. It's really simple, takes just a second. And then every throttle comes assembled with a a special screw that's got a vibration resistant Loctite attached to it. This is a one-time use screw. If you remove this, you can use the same screw, but you've got to use Loctite. You don't want this vibrating out or becoming loose. We also offer micro tubes. They're designed for some smaller handlebars. Several companies manufacture them. The cam design on our micro throttle gives these little guys a lot better throttle control than just the stock cams. It's one-piece billet aluminum. It's not plastic like a lot of them. A lot of these little micro tubes, this cam can come off, and that really creates a lot of issues. So it's much safer, and the kids have way better throttle control. What we always recommend is just using some light dish soap on this rubber O-ring. You can use some silicone paste, a little bit of WD-40, just something to assist in that O-ring sliding over the tube. Make sure your handlebar is really clean. If it's a used handlebar, you know, I don't know, if you go over with a piece of sandpaper or something, just make sure all the imperfections are removed. If your bar has an end cap, remove the end cap. And then when you install the throttle assembly, there's two screws. Loosen the screws, and it's just going to slide right on there. Okay? So when you slide it on, if you push the housing all the way to the end, twist the throttle, make sure that there's no hiccup. What I like to do, push it all the way using the end of the throttle tube. Okay, you want just a touch of play there, so if you remove or slide the housing back just a bit, so there's just a little bit of lateral play, that's where you want it to be. Every part on your T-Rex Billet Throttle is replaceable. If you currently have a micro tube on your throttle, it can be upgraded to a standard tube. If your kid moves from a Cobra 50 to a Cobra 65 or a KTM 65, reuse the exact same throttle housing. We just change the threaded insert and maybe upgrade the cable. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run. All the manufacturing on these throttles, the tolerances are very, very tight. No other throttle parts from any other manufacturer is going to work on this throttle housing. Some may look similar, but they're very, very different. We spent thousands of hours developing the throttle assembly. Every tolerance is measured and adjusted, and we came up with the very best combination for all conditions, temperatures, for each motorcycle. The throttle tubes on all of our billet throttles are made from one-piece billet. They're not 1, 2, 3 pieces of aluminum kind of stuck, welded together. They're one-piece solid billet. They're virtually indestructible. Your safety is our #1 concern. Please have your throttle installed by a certified mechanic to the manufacturer's specifications. Before each ride, make sure all fasteners are secured. We recommend blue Loctite on all the fasteners. And please reach out to us if you have any questions whatsoever. TRexMoto-x.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching.